So I finally finished my little case modding of the Thermaltake Core V21, and I am extremely happy with it, and I got everything together. I took a little bit of extra time because they gave me so many options. This case has ridiculous amount of options, and the fact that also everything just comes apart so easy, and everything was able to move around more or less easy, and on top of it I had more options in my head on what if I wanted to mod any more things or add anything. So it took me a while to put together. I spent about as much time putting the computer together, like putting the parts in it, as I did cutting it. Overall it took me about 2 days to get it completely done. And that includes, like I said, taking apart my old computer and then putting everything in this computer. Overall, the mod only took me about a total of maybe 4.5 hours or so, and that includes, coming out here and painting everything and stuff like that, and installing, and all the good stuff that was in the rest of this video. But anyways, you guys, so now we're gonna actually take a look at the finished product. Alright, so the first thing I want to say about this thing is heavy. It is really dense, and you guys will see once I open it up how much stuff I really stuffed inside of it. But obviously you can see the orientation of the front panel, which is awesome that I was able to rotate this, because then I was able to rotate the front panel to kind of line it up like this, because I like the curves on the side. It made it look different. And I do have my I/O plates and everything at the top of the case. I liked it having it there. I don't know, it just felt cool to have it there, I guess. And so I guess we'll just start off by pulling off the front of the case. So you can get this bad boy off. It's a little, there we go. So as you guys can see, the cutout right here for the top, it lines up with it right here, the I/O. And I actually don't think I actually screwed that back on. You might need a screw there, but it clips on and holds just fine. So as you guys can see, I did get rid of the 200mm fan, and instead we have two fans up front. I call this booby configuration. That's very immature, but that's what I call it. So we have my two Be Quiet 140mm fans right up front in the case. I thought there might be an issue with the 140s hitting this curve right here when I would close it, but nope, no issue at all. Thermaltake made sure to take care of that. And I am a wire management freak, so I had to make sure like certain wires ran through here and then shoot under the bottom, because having this I/O plate where it is, I do wish they would have made some cords longer to completely route along the sides of the case and then back around, solely for the fact that this case has this modular effect for the I/O or the I/O panel for the case panel. Because it's modular, I think they should have made all the wires for it a lot longer. Except for the USB 3.0. That one was like more than long enough. But all the other case wires of it could have been a little bit longer, for the fact that you can move it in so many different areas in the case and will have to route it differently every time. I think they should have given you a little bit more room for the wires. But overall, I did figure out a way to get it done. So obviously, I'm pretty sure you guys are excited to see the window panel, the window portion of the case. So as you can see, we have my full ATX motherboard in there. We have my entire PC except for two fans, and I could have put the two fans in here, I just didn't really care to because I didn't need them. As far as noise goes, this is about as audible as my last PC case, which is actually really quiet. I'll probably show some shots or something of the PC actually on at times. But the PC is actually really quiet, believe it or not. And I have a total of 6 fans in here. So there's the cover off right there. I'll put the window somewhere separate because I don't like my window panel to get scratched up. So we have my Corsair H100i. They do make it to where you can install fans at the bottom. As you guys see, I have the little nubby sticking through here still. And the fan that I installed at the bottom, I did cut out my own little fan filter. Let's see if I can tilt the case a little bit. So you can see I put a little bit of a fan filter right here to cover that 120mm fan. The motherboard literally inches along the bottom of the case. Like there is probably about 1/4 of an inch between this case, if even that. It might even be like 1/8 of an inch. Not enough to run wires underneath it, let's just say that. Actually, I lied. The flat SATA cables are actually cables like this that are flat. We're able to run underneath it, and that's about it. Nothing else could. The top, we have a lot more space, which we'll get to. But as you guys can see, I have my long white painted R9 280X Toxic Edition in there. Perfectly fits fine. Now the Corsair H100i does block my RAM, but I can still get it out. I just have to pull the top off and undo the clips from the top, and then undo the clips right there. and I can only pull the RAM out on like one RAM at a time, which I mean you do anyways, but I can't pull the middle ones out without pulling out the outer ones first because there's not enough room to come completely up. Or maybe I could shimmy it out. I probably could shimmy it out, but for the most part, the RAM, I'm just going to say, has limited access compared to what it used to have. But for the size of this case, that is perfectly okay with me. So we'll go around to the actual part that was modded, and as you guys can see, it looks like it came like that. Like there's no real way to completely tell. It's on there stable, like it ain't going nowhere. The motherboard tray doesn't move either. So I got that on there pretty nice. And I guess having my power supply up here is a little weird. I'm not really used to it, so I'm still getting used to that when I plug and unplug my system, which isn't too often, so it might take a little bit longer to get used to because of that. So let's pull the top panel off. Okay. I'm not going to remove the bottom panel because I don't really want to, because there's nothing really to see at the bottom. So this top panel I noticed has a little bit of trouble coming off. I tried looking for reasons why, and I think it's the screws that hold the Corsair H100i in. I'm actually pretty sure it's those screws, but there really isn't anything else I can do about them. So for the top of the case, I kind of want to put this, I don't like tilting this without something underneath it, due to the fact that it gets, that's another thing, you guys, if you don't have the bottom of the case, these corners get really scratched up if you slide it around on a surface. That's one of the main reasons I want to take the bottom off. So I'll just tilt the case on, because I have towels in my garage. So I'm going to lay this towel down for sake of not wanting to scratch the case up more than I already have. But that is how the top of the case looks. So if you guys can see, it comes right up to the edge. We do have enough room to run like the 8-pin connector here. My motherboard does have a divot in right here, which allowed me to slide this in there and give me that clearance, because otherwise it would have been pushing really hard on this. So that was nice that I luckily lucked out and there was already a divot right here. But there could have been, you know, if this wouldn't have worked, I would have had to cut that divot because this is just too much. The only fan I have plugged into this is my H100i, the 2 fans for it, and that is because I like my system quiet, but I also like the fans to be able to ramp up. I didn't have anywhere really that I felt like cutting a hole to put my fan controller in, so I have to use the onboard fan controller, which keeps my stuff, I think I was rendering a 1080p video, and it kept my system at like 45 degrees. While rendering a 20-minute 1080p video, so that's not bad, especially for a case this small. But as you guys can see, the Corsair H100i, I have it lined up right here because if I had it pushed back any closer to the edge, it would have been covered by this, so I moved it a little bit over. And then I have, of course, these two 40 or 140 millimeter fans, and I got rid of those because if you see, the 200 millimeter fan goes right here. And it does blow a decent amount of air, but most of the air goes into the back part of the case behind here that I didn't really care about. If I put 140 right here, it goes directly over my GPU, over my motherboard. So I put 2 of them here just because it let me, and I had 2 fans, so you know, when in Rome. So that came out pretty well, and I was really happy with it. Like I said, you guys, this was really awesome. So now we'll look at my cable management. So like the other case, the Thermaltake Core V1, this does offer some decent methods for cable management if you're a little bit crafty with your stuff. There's some little places. That's one thing I didn't like about the case, kind of pops up if you don't have the screws on. So we'll pop that open. So as you guys can see, here's my cable management and my random fan controller, which I don't know what to do with. I might buy a different fan controller, smaller one to just stuff back here. But the reason I have my fan controller is because it makes my fans run a hell of a lot quieter than the motherboard will. So I put this in here to keep all my case fans, like these ones and the one at the bottom and the one in the back, to keep them running as low as possible, which keeps my case extremely quiet. So I didn't feel like cutting a hole for this in the case because I love the purest, like, clean aesthetic that it has on the case without this there. And I haven't really found out what to do with it yet. I was gonna figure out what to do with it, then make the video, but I didn't want to keep you guys waiting, so I just kind of slammed it in there. But all the other wires are actually kept pretty clean except for all these fan wires, because like I said, I just slammed it in there. But I'm going to work on what I'm going to do with this, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to implement it in. But yeah, for the most part, that's basically it, you guys. That's a case-mounted Thermaltake Core V21 with a full-size ATX motherboard in it, and I'm extremely happy with it. So I'm probably going to stop talking now because there's nothing else to me to talk about, and I'm just going to throw in some little, I think they call it B-roll, when the camera just pans around and looks at stuff. So we'll give you guys some music and something to look at.